Search and rescue teams are looking for survivors after historic storms in the South and Midwest. I'm Mallory Rivera in Mayfield, Kentucky, with more details on the efforts coming up.
On the heels of a stormy Friday across our area and across the entire four-state region, we were a lot quieter today. I think we will stay quiet for tomorrow. We'll start breaking down the extended forecast with a look at Sunday and first weather coming up.
The Joplin Eagles are taking on Ray Peck in the championship game of the Carthage Invitational. We'll have the highlights in sports.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Joining us tonight, we do have a busy night of news this evening, and we begin in Miami with an escaped inmate from the Ottawa County Jail. According to the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office, at around 1 this morning, Charles or Chuck Chance escaped from the Ottawa County Jail. Chance was last seen wearing a white t-shirt and gray sweatpants. He's described as a white male, approximately 5'10", around 200 pounds, brown hair, and blue eyes. Authorities say he was last seen in the North Miami area. If you have any information on his location, you're urged to contact the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office at 918-542-2806, or you can call Central Dispatch at 918-542-5585. We're following breaking news out of the east following a major December tornado outbreak. Nearly 100 people have been killed following the significant outbreak of tornadoes east of our area. This is damage from Mayfield, Kentucky, which was hit hardest by the storms. At least 50 of the dead are from Mayfield. However, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says that number is likely between 70 and 100. The Mayfield tornado started in Arkansas and traveled through 4 different states, and if confirmed, could be the longest track tornado on record. And as we mentioned, more than 100 people now feared dead after the tornadoes cut through the Midwest, leaving a trail of damage across 6 different states. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has the latest from Kentucky.
Kentucky, one of the hardest hit after a tornado touched down there for more than 200 miles. This was the scene in Mayfield. Nearly everything in the storm's path completely leveled, leaving the tiny city almost unrecognizable.
The courthouse, the hospital, everything, the churches. It's just unimaginable. I cannot believe it.
More than 100 workers were trapped in a factory when it was torn apart by the winds. The death toll across Kentucky is feared to be catastrophic. The governor declaring a state of emergency.
This event is the worst, most devastating, most deadly tornado event in Kentucky's history.
At least 6 workers were killed in Illinois after parts of this Amazon warehouse collapsed. That number could grow as search teams look for people still trapped under the rubble. And in Arkansas, 1 person died after a tornado tore through this nursing home. Drone footage showed widespread damage all over town.
To see what they've had to go through, knowing the health conditions of some that they could not do anything, it breaks my heart to see that.
President Biden says he's been in touch with state governors about providing federal assistance.
I promise you, whatever is needed, the federal government is going to find a way to supply it.
President Biden says he intends to visit the areas devastated by the tornadoes, but doesn't want to do so if it will interfere with relief efforts. Reporting in Mayfield, Kentucky, Mallory Rivera, KOAM News.
The American Red Cross of Missouri and Arkansas is coordinating with local and state emergency management to assist communities hit by the devastating tornadoes overnight. The Red Cross has sent responders to affected communities in the greater St. Louis area, including Edwardsville, Illinois, and in St. Charles County, where homes were destroyed in Defiance, Missouri. Responders also provided assistance in Wright and Stone counties in Missouri, where homes were damaged, and are in the northeast Arkansas communities affected in Craighead County and surrounding areas. If you would like to help out, you can visit redcross.org. Of course, we saw some of those storms as they fired up here. Thankfully, we didn't see anything like they saw out east.
Yeah, at the worst case scenario, Chris, all we picked up around Dade County were a couple hailstones between quarters and up to golf ball size. So we actually lucked out as the storms fired up in our region and then really took off as they cleared out. But a lot quieter today, looking quiet still from 7th and Range Line, 33. So that cold front lived up to its name as well, with dropping temperatures quite a bit, and then 47 degrees this afternoon. So quite a cool day, but Can't stress enough that after all the storms and all these severe weather reports over in Missouri, we kept things dry for today. We're still mostly clear outside. It's actually gotten cold pretty fast around here. In fact, most of us now are in the lower to middle 30s, so I had to make a little adjustment with our overnight lows for tonight. I still think the south wind is going to keep us mainly in the upper 20s and lower 30s, but I think Joplin starts around 30 degrees. Thankfully, we're going to improve on temperatures tomorrow. A lot of sunshine. Once we get past sunrise, will push us to 55. With a south wind kind of up there though, Chris, so kind of a hold on to your hat day, but we'll see if this can lead to a milder week ahead of us here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Back to local news. Today kicks off the 34th annual Food Basket Brigade, in Newton County. Volunteers started their day going door to door to collect non-perishable food items. Now, all the food collected was taken back to this building at the Newton County Fairgrounds, where volunteers sorted and inventoried all the groceries. Newton County Food Basket was established in 1987 to help families during the Christmas season. Organizers collect enough food for a Christmas dinner and nearly 2 weeks of essential food to distribute to families in need to get a little help through the holidays.
You don't realize how many volunteers, because everybody here is volunteer. All the food is donated. Money to buy food is all donated. So you realize, you sit back and you realize just how big of an operation it is, especially when we're providing food for close to 950 families this year, or at least that's what we're expecting to do.
Distribution of the food baskets will take place next Saturday at the larger building at the fairgrounds. Well, every year the Marine Corps Reserve collects toys for local families who may otherwise not have much of a Christmas to celebrate. It's something most are probably familiar with. Toys for Tots. Today marked the distribution of the toys collected for Newton and McDonald counties. Officials say they've accepted applications from more than 250 families, which will go to help nearly 700 children.
It's always rewarding. It's a busy time, but to know that we're helping so many children in need, it's a good thing.
The toys were distributed at the Monarch Southern Baptist Church in Neosho. Well, Santa and Mrs. Claus were out and about in Carthage today to spread holiday cheer to the VFW's post members and their families. The kiddos and even the adults, there you see, they had an opportunity to take photos on Santa's lap. Attendees were also able to eat hot dogs, chips, and soda provided by the organization. It was all part of a way for the VFW to give back to their members and get them in the Christmas spirit.
Everybody that's out here that you see, most of the members, men and women, are combat veterans. So they've been across somewhere where they've got a badge or a ribbon on their DD-214. So obviously you want to take care of the people that take care of you, you know.
Next Saturday, the 18th, the VFW plans to host a turkey shoot to raise funds for local veterans. They will also be giving out food baskets to veterans in need. Speaking of veterans, we now take this time to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Earl Treadway served in the Army during World War II in Africa, Italy, and Germany. His hometown, Galena. We're proud to recognize Earl Treadway, tonight's four-state hero. And remember, learn more about our other heroes, or if you've got one of your own you'd like to nominate, you can do that by heading to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Later on the news at 9, a new report is released on how many folks 65 and older got their COVID booster shot.
On the heels of our last storm system, it was nice that we kept things quiet for today, but that cold front certainly lived up to its name. We certainly saw quite a bit of a chillier day after we saw highs in the lower, if not mid-70s across the region, at least this evening. Compared to last night where we were tracking a couple of instances of developing rain and storms. Indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. The parking lot's busy, but thankfully the skies are not. But despite the mostly clear skies again, it was amazing to see temperatures take yet another tumble. We went from lower to middle 70s the other day, lower to middle 30s this morning, and right around 47 degrees this afternoon. But thankfully, even though we're going to drop back near 30 tonight, we are going to improve on temperatures as we wrap up the weekend tomorrow. Okay, let's see if the radar can reset. That was the morning round of rain the other day. Then developing rain and storms on top of the region before they just unleashed a horrible fury off to the east. But for us today, let's be thankful we had nothing to track. hardly any cloud cover once we got past this morning. And just to make doubly sure, absolutely nothing. This is going to stay quiet for the next few days before, sticking with Doug's pattern, we go back into a bit of an active stretch once we hit the middle of the coming week. For now, though, 7th and range line. The streets look busy. Thankfully, the skies are quiet. 32 in Joplin already. This is where I thought our low was going to be. But as long as that southerly breeze is back in action at 7 miles per hour, we're going to see more moisture work in throughout the night and only limit temperatures to drop back near 30 around Joplin. But you can see how everybody's mainly in the lower to middle 30s now. But again, we have that westerly breeze throughout the course of the day. As high pressure to our south is scooting off to the east, there's that southerly breeze back in action. And that is going to mean a warmer day for us tomorrow as we continue with clear skies here. Thanks to high pressure and control. It's nice to see that after this horrible cold front pressed on through. It's continuing its journey off toward the east, and for us in the short term, we're going to temporarily see this jet stream lift back to the north as an upper ridge slides off just to the south. So that again leaves us in good shape as we go through the rest of the evening and into the overnight hours. But you can see how we're already in the lower 30s, but upper 20s for some, lower 30s for others, and I still think Joplin will bottom out right around 30 degrees with that light south breeze in place at 5 to 10. But that breeze is going to pick up as we go throughout the day tomorrow, south of 5 to 15 by noon, and probably gusting near 25 at times during the afternoon. But that, again, helps us out. 50 by noon, and topping out right around 55 degrees. Looking at the rest of the forecast from the jet stream level, again, staying quiet for Monday. We'll be back into the 60s as the jet stream temporarily lifts back to the north. We'll push into the 70s for some parts of the middle of the week, but sticking with Doug's pattern again, we'll watch for some rain chances Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe some thunderstorms early Thursday. Then another wave by Friday will take us from a mild Friday and down into a downright cold Saturday, where depending on how fast temperatures drop, we can maybe see Friday's system end as maybe a rain-snow mix for the morning. But 55 tomorrow, let's go 62 Monday, 67 on Tuesday, I think 71 for Wednesday, mild for much of next week, Chris, until we go really into the chill, 34 on Saturday.
It seems like we've been just kind of riding this temperature roller coaster for the last couple of weeks.
All over the place.
It has been way up, and then all of a sudden it tanks. So we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. That's why we turn to you and Doug. You guys know what's going on. So
yeah, and thankfully what we know is the next few days at least after the last storm system, quiet as can be.
Good, we'll take it. Nick, thank you so much. Well, coming up, a new study on patients with the Omicron variant says most of them were vaccinated. Just 44% of people aged 65 and older got a booster dose of the COVID-19 vaccine through mid-November. That's according to data reported Friday by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC says nearly 24 million seniors are without a booster shot. The agency is pushing for everyone 65 and older to get a booster as soon as possible. It also says everyone over 8 years old should be boosted. People are eligible to get the shot 6 months after the second dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech or Moderna's vaccine, or 2 months after the single dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Only about 64% of all eligible Americans had been fully vaccinated as of Thursday. Less than a third of those eligible for boosters have gotten the shot. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is sharing what it knows about U.S. cases of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Now, according to the CDC, of the 43 cases known in the country, most of the patients suffered mild symptoms. The most common symptoms were cough, fatigue, congestion, or a runny nose. Most of the patients were vaccinated. 14 of them had even received booster shots. CDC reports one vaccinated person with Omicron was treated in the hospital for 2 days. No deaths were reported. Researchers say the Delta variant is still the dominant COVID variant in the U.S. Health officials say they are seeing fewer deaths from heart disease. National Center for Health Statistics released its new report that heart disease death rates have been steadily decreasing since the 1960s. But they say that decline has slowed in recent years. Between 2000 and 2011, the death rate dropped every year by an average of nearly 4%. That changed between 2011 and 2019, when the annual average decline was less than 1%. Heart disease is still a leading cause of death in the U.S., followed by cancer. CDC says nearly 660,000 people died from heart disease in 2019. Medical experts are predicting that 2 new pills to treat COVID-19 will change daily life and go a long way to restoring normalcy. Fox News correspondent Jillian Turner explains.
2 new COVID antiviral pills from Merck and Pfizer are on the verge of FDA approval. Public health experts say the drugs are game changers that could get Americans back to normal life. HHS Secretary Javier Becerra says they could accelerate our path out of this pandemic. Both pills cut the risk of hospitalization and death, according to clinical trials. Pfizer's drug, Paxlovid, slashes the risk by over 85%, and Merck's Molnupiravir by 50%. Even more promising, Pfizer's CEO says Americans with access to their drug might not have to worry about variants like Delta and Omicron in the future.
It's very difficult, the virus, to create a variant that will resist the antiviral effect of our oral treatment.
Hospital officials say the pills will render the COVID threat more ordinary, like the common cold or flu.
There's a lot of attractive features about it, just like there is for Tamiflu for influenza, which is another way to think about this.
Public health experts claim the pills are easy to take.
People can have these pills ready to go in their medicine cabinets, and if they then discover that they're symptomatic with COVID and they test positive, they can start taking the pills right away.
The key to the drug's efficacy is taking them early on in an infection, within 5 days of the start of symptoms. This means patients have to do a test, get a prescription, and then fill it fast. Now the billion-dollar question is how much Americans will have to pay. The federal government placed advance orders for 1.7 million doses of Pfizer's pill at $530 per course and 10 million doses of Merck at $700 per course. But President Biden says there's no need to worry.
We will ensure that these medicines will be available to the hardest hit communities in America as well.
Now the FDA has given emergency authorization for 16 and 17-year-olds to get a 3rd dose of the Pfizer vaccine if it's been 6 months since their last shot. Right now, Pfizer is really the only vaccine and booster option for Americans younger than 18. Next up, the CDC needs to weigh in. In Washington, Jillian Turner, Fox News.
Well, if you're looking to buy a new car, I've got some bad news about prices. If you want a new car now, you better ask Santa, because otherwise you're going to pay a carload of Christmas green. The average transaction prices for new cars hit an all-time high in November, reaching more than $46,300 to shell out. That's the 8th consecutive month for record-setting new car prices. November 2021 costs are up 13.2% over November of 2020. Cars are selling much higher this year because car supplies are down, particularly during the computer chip storage crisis, and consumers are shifting from cars to SUVs and trucks, which help drive up the average transaction price. Well, the CEO who fired 900 employees over a 3-minute Zoom meeting is taking leave effective immediately. Vishal Garg fired 9% of his workforce at Better.com without notice in a virtual meeting just before the holidays. The board of directors of the online mortgage company responded by announcing that the CEO is now taking some time off. After Garg's abrupt dismissal of hundreds of employees, 3 of the company's top communications executives resigned in protest. Garg later apologized for his lack of respect for the people he laid off, saying he made a difficult situation worse. Meanwhile, Better.com's board is bringing in a third party to evaluate its leadership and the company's culture. Italy just hit Amazon with a massive penalty for what the country's antitrust watchdog called abuse of market dominance. The fine is the equivalent of $1.28 billion and is one of the biggest penalties imposed on a U.S. tech giant in Europe. Italy's government says Amazon used its marketplace dominance to favor the adoption of its own logistics service, which is called Fulfillment by Amazon. The e-commerce giant said it, quote, strongly disagreed with the penalty and would appeal. Other big tech companies have also come under increasing regulatory scrutiny in Europe recently. follows a string of scandals over privacy and misinformation and complaints from some businesses that big firms abuse their market power. Coming up, Blue Origin's takes off for space once again. Broadcaster Michael Strahan was among the special guests on board Blue Origin's latest space mission. Also on Saturday's flight, Laura Shepard Churchley, daughter of famed astronaut Alan Shepard, the namesake of the company's New Shepard spacecraft. 4 paying customers are also now among the first space tourists. The mission lasted about 10 minutes from takeoff to landing. Crew traveled to the edge of space and experienced a few minutes of weightlessness before the capsule descended back to Earth. Blue Origin founder and Amazon head Jeff Bezos was there to greet the crew. We've got 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports headed your way on the news at 9. Coming up, Missouri Southern holds a drive-through graduation today. We'll take you to one of 2 sessions.
A group of Frontenac high schoolers is giving back to the Pittsburgh community and getting shoes to those in need this winter. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with those details.
Missouri Southern's fall graduates were honored today with their commencement ceremony, but it wasn't a traditional ceremony. Graduates were able to choose between a morning or afternoon ceremony and walked across the stage in shifts. So I apologize. I said it was drive-through. I certainly hope nobody was. The change started in December 2020 to make the ceremony safer during the pandemic. The university received feedback that parents and students liked this better as it was a more personal way to graduate from the university.
Students sign up for a 15-minute shift, and so they come and go throughout the day. They're spaced out, and we walk them through a number of stations to learn about the meaning of the regalia, commencement, and then ultimately receive their diplomas and cross the stage.
University allowed graduates' families to walk through the ceremony with them as a symbol of walking alongside them through their entire lives. And again, it was not a drive-through. A group of Frontenac high schoolers were in Pittsburgh today handing out shoes to those in need this winter. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with the students on why they volunteer their time to help the community and how their teacher thinks it can help them in the future.
On a Saturday night, you won't find this group of high school students at the mall or at the movies. You'll find them volunteering at the Lord's Diner in Pittsburgh.
So being able to see people walk up to the window and being able to hand them a pair of shoes is a really cool thing.
It's a part of a class at Frontenac High School called Raider Inc., a student-run graphics business.
We sell shirts and we sell items and raise money by just every item we sell is $1 raised for our organization. We decided to do shoes.
Anyone was able to come to the Lord's Diner and get a pair of shoes free of charge.
Last year we sold shirts to businesses with their logos on them, and the shirts raised $2,300. So, and that's what we were able to purchase the shoes.
Now, these students are able to see their hard work pay off.
A big part of me wanting to be here is that I spent almost every class period of the spring semester working. So being able to see the finished product given out to the people of the community is a really big deal for me and the other seniors that are here today as well.
Their teacher hopes the experience can help them not only now, but also later in life.
Should be shaping the kids, and I believe that if they can do it when they're 16, 17, 18, and when they're 26 with some sort of power in a company, that they could be able to change the company.
Not only was it a big accomplishment for the students to see their hard work pay off, but it was also a way to help out those in need in the community this winter. In Pittsburgh, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The group had 232 pairs of shoes to pass out. In national news, a horrible tragedy involving migrants headed for the U.S. More than 50 are dead and dozens injured after a transport truck crashed in southern Mexico. The incident underlines just how dangerous that journey can be. Fox News correspondent Bill Melugin reports from Eagle Pass, Texas.
A woman weeps at the sight of a grim scene out of Chiapas in southern Mexico on Thursday. That's where a tractor trailer carrying up to 200 migrants crashed while taking a curve. at least 54 migrants died, with more than 100 others injured. The mostly Central American migrants were headed for the United States when the truck crashed. The accident, one of the deadliest involving migrants in decades. In Brackettville, near Del Rio, Texas DPS pulled over a U-Haul truck being driven by 2 suspected human smugglers who claimed they were just moving.
Open the back, please, sir.
The driver then admits to a trooper that he has people in the back of the truck.
How many?
I don't know total.
Detain it, bro.
I don't know
Put your
total.
hands behind your back.
There's some people in there, bro.
From where?
They just helping us unload, bro.
Why are they in the back then?
Multiple illegal immigrants were found in the back. The driver and passenger both arrested for human smuggling. DPS tells Fox News both men are Crips gang members from Oklahoma and had 3 handguns with them, 2 of which were stolen. Meanwhile, in Yuma, Arizona, Border Patrol resources are completely overwhelmed. The mayor of Yuma says over 6,000 migrants have passed through the city in recent days, a more than 2,600% increase since October 1st. Some people who appear to be migrants have been seen walking around the city with no Border Patrol manpower to apprehend them, and the mayor has now declared a local state of emergency, saying he had to, in part, quote, due to the unprecedented number of migrants entering the city prior to being processed and released by Border Patrol. And I did reach out to both Democratic senators in Arizona to ask for their response to what's going on in Yuma. Senator Mark Kelly's office told me he did speak with DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and urged him to take immediate action and send more resources down to Yuma. Reporting in Eagle Pass, Texas, Bill Malugin, Fox News.
Now, Fox News later received a statement from Senator Sinema saying, in part, quote, I've called on the administration to take action and ensure the Department of Homeland Security and our communities have the resources and support to address the ongoing border crisis because Arizona, especially our border communities such as Yuma, have paid the price for the federal government's failure to fix our broken immigration system for years. Later on the KOAM News at 9, we are taking a look at the new Volkswagen TAOS.
I'll tell you what, it was nice that that cold front finally cleared out once we got into the other night, because out ahead of it, we were seeing showers and thunderstorms really fire up before they really got, for lack of a better word, nasty as they continue to work across the state of Missouri. Thankfully, much calmer today for everybody, looking good and quiet. From Indigo Sky, our live shot just outside of Seneca, Missouri. It certainly lived up to its name, the cold front, as well. Regarding temperatures, we went from the lower to middle 70s for your Friday afternoon. We dropped back into at least the lower to middle 30s this morning, and like I showed you in the almanac at the top of the hour, we only made it to 47 degrees this afternoon despite all the sunshine, but thankfully we are going to trend warmer as we wrap up the weekend tomorrow. That was what we had to deal with. Even for us, though, what we got in terms of strong storms, maybe a couple hailstones between quarters and golf balls in Dade County, that paled in comparison to what these storms did as they really plowed toward the east. Fortunately, a lot quieter today. We've been seeing mostly clear skies all day long. And just to make doubly sure, absolutely nothing on the radar. This is going to stay dry for a few more days before sticking with Doug's pattern. We get back into another active stretch, certainly by the middle of the coming week. For now, at 9:42, can't ask for anything better. A quiet sky. The only thing busy on the wet tower cam are a little bit of roads, at least some of the traffic that's still out and about. 32 and drop with the south breeze at 7 miles per hour, making it feel like 26 degrees. And we've actually cooled off a little faster than I was expecting. Most of us are between 30 and 34 degrees all across the region, maybe a couple of 35s around the Beta and Fort Scott. Despite the westerly breeze we have throughout the day, and despite it being cold outside right now, look at that southerly breeze kicking back in. Light at 5 to 10 miles per hour, but it will do the trick to keep us right around 30 tonight and then really warming us back up as we go throughout the day tomorrow. Nice to see the entire four-state region, much of the Midwest, and even the southern parts of the U.S. mainly dry as this cold front, the culprit for all the nasty weather the other day, well to the east now. High pressure's in control. That's one part of how we're going to warm up tomorrow. The other, the jet stream's starting to come back our way too, as a bit of an upper level ridge trying to send some energy our way. That is certainly going to trend milder for us as we go through tomorrow and Monday. In the short term, though, it's nice to see nothing on the future track, quiet skies, but you can tell it will stay cold as we go through the overnight as lows drop back near 30 degrees. A light south breeze to start the morning out at 5 to 10, but quickly jumping to 50 by noon and pushing afternoon highs right around 55 as that south wind really cranks into gear. Sustained at 10 to 20, maybe some gusts to 25 as we get into the afternoon. Staying quiet for Monday. We'll be back into the 60s with this setup at the jet stream. But even though we got an upper level high trying to build in from the Gulf, we've got some waves coming through the middle of the week. We'll have a wave on Wednesday, passing nearby, and then another system on Friday into Saturday. That's going to keep plenty of rain chances in the forecast Tuesday through Friday. And depending on how fast temperatures drop as we head towards Saturday, maybe a rain-snow mix for Saturday morning. But we're quiet for the next few days. Let's savor that. 55 tomorrow, 62 Monday, upper 60s, lower 70s through the middle of the week, Chris, and then we're just going to really tank once again once we get into Saturday.
Yeah, it's like we said earlier, it's just kind of been a roller coaster of temperatures, and that's the thing too, is it gets pretty darn warm before it just tanks, like you said.
Yeah, Doug has said time and again, if it gets this warm in December, it's going to tumble hard when it gets to it.
And it has been, Nick. Thank you so much. Coming up in sports, the Joplin Eagles play for the Carthage Invitational Championship. Danny Terzer has the highlights next.
Today is the final day of the Carthage Invitational. The Joplin Eagles are undefeated in the tournament and have earned a spot in the championship game. Joplin meets Ray Peck in the title game. In the second quarter, Joe Jasper kicks it up court to Always Right. He puts it down with two hands. Then Holden Kephart knocks down the three. Miles Sutton drops another here, back-to-back triples to make it a 1-point game heading into half. Time winding down in the third. Big three from Brantley Morris. Rylan Teal puts on the post moves, gets the bucket to tie it. Joplin up by one with 30 seconds left now. Bruce Wilbert comes up with the steal. And Taryn Gibson puts the Eagles up by three. Joplin wins the Carthage Invitational Championship over Ray Peck 42-39. The Carl Junction Bulldogs are also playing for a tournament title this evening. CJ hits the floor against Farmington in the championship game of the Lady Eagle Classic. Destiny Berge knocks down a three for the Bulldogs. Then to start the second, Jetta Lawrence takes it down the court. She hits the three. Morgan Bry, no pressure on her. Farmington with a nice sized lead in the third. Bulldogs trying to catch up. Hallie Shorter takes the pass, knocks it down from behind the arc. Farmington takes down Carl Junction though 68-49 to win the tournament title. Both Pittsburg State and Missouri Southern are on the road this evening. The Southern women are 2-0 in the conference play and on a 4-game winning streak. Missouri Southern rolls by Rogers State 84-65. Lacey Stokes finishes with 18 points and 8 assists. Lane Skiles with 16 points and Haley Grant with 11. The Gorillas return from their road trip with 2 wins. Pittsburg State beats Northeastern State 65-51 today. Sydney Crane drops 16.6 rebounds. Tristan Gegg follows with 13 points. On the men's side, Missouri Southern stays perfect in conference play, topping Rogers State 67-53. Stan Scott with a big double-double, 26 points and 10 rebounds. As for the Gorillas, Pitt State loses their third in a row, 59-42. The Kansas Jayhawks are back in action tonight after a lopsided win over UTEP in Kansas City earlier this week. Kansas aiming for their 4th straight in the border war against Mizzou. First half, Christian Brown lobs it to David McCormick for the dunk. Later, Brown in transition goes up for the one-handed jam himself. And next possession on the fast break, Brown skips it to Dewan Harris for the lay-in. Kansas in control. Final seconds of the half, Ochai Agbaji knocks down the three. Agbaji with a game-high 21 points. Second half here, Chris Tien hits the three. Allen Fieldhouse goes crazy. The Jayhawks hit the century mark. Kansas dominates Missouri 102-65. We're back after this.
Perfect for all your city driving needs. Fox's Gary Gastelou takes a look at the 2022 Volkswagen TAOS.
Volkswagen's newest SUV may be named after a mountain ski town, but it's even better for the urban grind. The Volkswagen TAOS isn't VW's cheapest vehicle, that'd be the Jetta, but now that the standard version of the Golf has been discontinued, this $24,000 utility vehicle is its lowest priced hatchback and the perfect size for city living. This subcompact SUV is about the same size as the original Volkswagen Tiguan before that became a 3-row compact, and packs plenty of space inside its small footprint, including a large cargo area and a huge back seat. The front seat's set so I can sit in it comfortably, and I'm 6'1", and I fit comfortably back here as well. There are a lot of mid-size SUVs I can't say that about. One thing that's definitely different than the Golf is that this doesn't have that zippy, fun-to-drive feel. It's about as bland as you would expect a subcompact SUV to be, and 158 horsepower is adequate at best. But it is pleasant enough to drive around in and does get an honest 30 miles per gallon. An all-wheel drive model is available with the same power for an extra $2,000, and the TAOS can be equipped with VW's IQ Drive package of electronic driver aids, including lane centering, adaptive cruise control. But for me, the biggest selling point remains the fact that it's bigger than it looks, at least on the inside. In the 2022 Volkswagen TAOS, Gary Gastelou, Fox News.
Well, up next, looking for something tasty to snack on this holiday season? Pillsbury may have just what you're looking for. The Pillsbury Doughboy turns the heat on himself this Christmas, so you can take time to shop till you drop. Pillsbury is introducing its first ever ready-to-eat holiday cookies. The limited edition Pillsbury soft baked sugar with sprinkles and drizzled icing cookies are now available at grocery stores and retailers nationwide. The cookies have real butter and are decorated with white icing and blue sprinkles. Get you into the festive spirit. You can pack them into your kids' lunch boxes or take them with you to the mall for your own holiday cheer while you do gift buying for the family. And the cookies come with 18 in a package, and they retail for $3.69. So if you are in need of, a to-go meal or something like that, I know Nick over here enjoys a good to-go meal. He brings one here to the station all the time. I caught him off guard, so now he's making faces at me. He does that a lot. Sean, on the other hand, he's the stoic, silent type back there. Do you have any to-go snacks with you today?
I already ate.
He already ate. I mean, I guess it is getting late. And speaking of it getting late, that is our time for now. We're going to see you back here tomorrow night, and thanks for making us part of your night.